Hello, everybody. I am Andrew here from Andrew's Meteorology, and we are going to be talking about spring weather safety in this presentation here that I have up on your screen. And it is never too early to start talking about spring. I know we've had a lot of crazy winter weather and cold temperatures lately here, especially in the Northeast. But according to Punxsutawney Phil, we are only to see 6 more weeks of winter since the beginning of February, so hopefully things will start transitioning over to the spring season here very soon. But like I said, fingers crossed. But moving on here, some spring weather hazards that we'll be talking about here in this presentation are rip currents and beach hazards, tornadoes, thunderstorms, lightning, flooding, tsunamis, and heat. So it is also never too early to start talking about rip currents and beach hazards, as once the weather warms up, people start vacationing to the beaches. So beach flags help alert swimmers about potential dangers such as high surf or strong rip currents, and it is very important that you look for those beach flags before you enter the water. Um, Especially, like I said, if you're going to the beach and if ever caught in a rip current, make sure and swim parallel to the beach to escape. And we'll be talking about that more here on the next slide. So here's a really good graphic about what rip currents actually do. So if you're ever caught in a rip current, make sure and relax. Rip currents don't actually pull you under. A lot of people get confused by that because some people think that they actually pull you under, but that is not the case. They don't pull you under, they pull you out into the water. So don't ever swim against the current. Swim out of the current, then to shore. And if you can't escape, make sure and float or tread water. And if you need help, yell or wave for assistance. And this is why I always emphasize too, make sure you never go alone to the beach, especially if there's no lifeguards on duty. Because, like I said, if you're ever caught in those rip currents, there's really nobody that can assist you. And if you're pulled out into the water, you can easily drown. So, and to those of you who don't actually know what a rip current is, rip currents are actually powerful currents of water moving away from the shore. They can sweep even the strongest swimmer away from the shore. And if at all possible, make sure to swim near a lifeguard so that way they're monitoring you. Or, like I said, if you bring a guest or friend along or a family member, make sure they're watching you and keeping an eye on you so you don't um, get caught in a rip current. So, other dangerous currents to keep in mind are longshore currents, outlet currents, tidal currents, structural currents, and I'm not going to highlight too much of those here in this presentation, but if you wanted to learn more about those, you can head on over to weather.gov/safety/dangerous-currents, and that'll give you some more information about those currents. So moving on to tornadoes. Winds from tornadoes can exceed 200 miles per hour. Flying debris is very dangerous and most often the cause of death and injuries. Make sure and seek a sturdy shelter in a basement, storm shelter, or interior room away from windows or on the lowest floor and cover your head if you're ever caught in the instance of a tornado. The most dangerous locations to be in during a tornado are mobile homes and vehicles. Some National Weather Service tornado products to keep in mind, or what the National Weather Service would usually issue during a tornadic event, is a tornado watch and a tornado warning. A tornado watch is issued when a tornado is possible, and that means to know your safe place, which can be a storm shelter, basement, interior hallway, away from windows, um, and make sure to be ready to act quickly if a warning is issued. So basically, a watch means to be prepared. The tornado warning basically means a tornado is happening or about to happen, and that means to immediately seek shelter in your safe place, and that means to take action. So Additionally, um, here's a very interesting graphic that you can also keep in mind too when in an instance of a tornadic event. Have you ever noticed the wording? This is a particularly dangerous situation in some of the severe weather watches issued by the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center. This wording is used in tornado watches for rare situations when long-lived and intense tornadoes are likely. This enhanced wording may also accompany severe thunderstorm watches for widespread and exceptionally intense straight line wind events. And like I said, make sure to be prepared when you're in an instance of a tornadic event. Review your severe weather safety procedures. Know the safest place to seek refuge ahead of time. Consider canceling or postponing outdoor activities and have multiple ways to receive a warning and inform others of the heightened risk local to your area. And especially emergency contacts and family members, so that way they can assist you if you are in an emergency situation like a tornadic event. Moving on to severe thunderstorms. Severe thunderstorms produce damaging wind and or large hail, along with lightning and tornadoes. Take shelter in a sturdy structure away from windows. A basement or cellar would be best if you're ever in an instance of a thunderstorm. And being in a vehicle is safer than being outside if you are caught um, traveling or in a vehicle. So make sure and stay in the vehicle to remain safe. So some National Weather Service severe thunderstorm products that are usually issued during thunderstorms are thunderstorm watches and thunderstorm warnings. A severe thunderstorm watch is issued when a severe thunderstorm is possible, and that means to stay tuned to forecast updates, monitor sky conditions, and know where to take shelter. And that means to be prepared. A thunderstorm warning or severe thunderstorm warning is issued when a severe thunderstorm is happening or about to happen. That means to take shelter immediately. And that also means to take action. Moving on to lightning. All thunderstorms produce lightning because the reason I say that is because the thunder is actually as a result of the air dividing from the lightning. So lightning always comes before the thunder. Lightning kills an average of 20 people every year. Take shelter inside a sturdy, enclosed structure. A hardtop vehicle is also a safe location, like I said, if you're out traveling. Moving on to flooding. Flooding can be caused by snowmelt, ice jams, and heavy rain. More than half of all flood fatalities are vehicle related. And never drive into flooded roadways or around barricades. And we often see flooding when the weather starts to warm up a little bit and the snow and ice starts to melt. Um, and also, ice jams are a big one too. Moving on to snowmelt, which is what I just talked about. Water stored in the snowpack goes into rivers when the snow melts in the spring. In other words, turns into runoff and runs into the waterways. Spring flooding can affect large river basins, and never drive through floodwaters and obey road signs. In other words, turn around, don't drown. Ice jams. Ice jam flooding occurs when chunks of ice build up and prevent water from flowing downstream. This can lead to rapid rises upstream from the ice jam. And never drive through floodwaters, if I can speak there. And basically, ice jams, they can cause significant flooding too. So make sure you stay weather aware, especially when the weather starts to warm up, as ice jams can break and cause significant flooding. Moving on to heavy rain. Heavy rain on saturated soil can lead to flooding. More than half of all flood fatalities are vehicle related because people try to drive through floodwaters, and which I don't encourage. Um, because I always try and emphasize to if you're ever caught in a flood, make sure and turn around, don't drown, don't drive through the floodwaters. And it only takes 12 inches of rushing water to carry away a small car. Put that into perspective. And then, like I said, make sure and turn around, don't drown. Moving on to, oh, I skipped the slide there. Okay, so some National Weather Service products that are usually issued for flood conditions are flood watches and flood warnings. A flood watch is issued when flooding is possible, and that means to stay tuned to trusted news sources and be ready to seek higher ground when necessary, and that means to also be prepared. Flood warnings are basically issued when flooding is happening or about to happen. And that means to move to higher ground immediately and never drive or walk through floodwaters. And that also means to take action. Talking about tsunamis. A tsunami is one of the most powerful and destructive forces of nature, which are often caused by earthquakes. That's the most common cause of them. No nature's warnings, strong or long earthquakes, sudden ocean rise or fall, or ocean roar, and respond to warnings, move to higher ground or inland when necessary. Some National Weather Service tsunami products that are usually issued during those type of conditions are tsunami watches and tsunami warnings. A tsunami watch is issued when a tsunami is possible, and that means to know your evacuation route and have a plan and be ready to act quickly if a warning is issued, and that means to be prepared. A tsunami warning is issued when a tsunami is happening or about to happen. And that means to move to higher ground or further inland immediately. And that means to take action. Talking about heat, which I believe is the last topic of this presentation here. Even in the spring, heat with or without humidity can take a toll on the body. Know the signs of heat illness. Types of heat illnesses include heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Reschedule outdoor work and strenuous activities for another day or for the coolest time of the day. And stay hydrated by drinking plenty of water. And we mostly see heat related issues during the summer seasons. However, it can happen during the spring if we get some sort of a heat wave that moves in or something like that. But we mainly see heat issues during the summer season. Continuing on with heat safety here, sunburn and heat illness can be avoided uh, by applying and reapplying sunscreen to protect your skin from sunburn, staying in air conditioning and out of the sun when possible. And one thing I emphasize here is never leave children, the elderly, or pets in parked or unattended vehicles. And also, to add to that, if you have pets outside, make sure and bring them in to keep them cool, if you can, because um, the heat can be hard on the pets too, especially if they're outdoors. So, some National Weather Service heat products that are usually issued due to excessive heat are excessive heat watches and excessive heat warnings. An excessive heat watch is issued when dangerous heat is possible, and that means to reschedule outdoor activities in the coming days and make sure that children, the elderly, and pets have a place to cool off during the heat. And that means to be prepared. An excessive heat warning is usually issued when dangerous heat is happening or about to happen. Avoid heavy activity and direct sunlight, stay hydrated, find a cool indoor place, and check on children, elderly, and pets. And that means to take action. So, some spring safety resources that you can keep in mind. They're on your screen there if you wanted to research a little bit more about rip currents, tornadoes, thunderstorms, lightning, flooding, tsunamis, or heat, um, you can just go to those links there, and um, that'll elaborate a little bit more on some more information, or I mean, that'll provide you with more information on those different topics there. So that concludes my presentation. I hope you found some beneficial information from this. And like I said, you can check out those links there that are currently on your screen if you wanted to learn more. But I hope you all have a wonderful day as well as a great week. Bye, everybody.